Hi there, welcome back to my channel. This is Casey. As some of you might know that I embarked on a new journey as a UX designer at a tech company starting this February, and now I'm almost 6 months into my new job. I made a video back then when I first joined and I talked about the job market, my job hunting journey, but that one was in Mandarin Chinese, so for this video, I'm doing it in English. If you're wondering what the UX job market will look like, the interview process, or if you're just looking for a new opportunity, this one is definitely what you need. So keep on watching. So to give you some backstory and context, prior to my current job, I was a product designer at a top-tier management consulting firm. So that was actually really fun. High-profile client project, small agile teams wearing multiple hats. I had great exposure to different industries. I really loved the people and the diversity of projects, but after 2 years, I decided to step away and moved on. And the two main reasons include, first, even though I was doing very cool stuff, visionary work with long-term strategic impact, but a lot of the project only made it to the boardroom, but not beyond. So I felt like the immediate implementation part was missing, and along the way, I didn't get to work with product-driven stakeholders such as PM or engineers. And another big reason was health and sustainability. Because of the long hours and constant business traveling, I started to develop some health issues toward the end of my tenure there. So finally, last summer, I handed in my 2-week notice. And after the soul-searching trip to South America, and I went back to the full-time job hunting mode. Honestly, it was a daunting moment to even think about it. At that time, my portfolio was outdated, and it had been 3 years since I last looked for a designer role. But there were really no shortcuts, and I had no choice but to test the job market. So throughout the 6 months of job hunting, I applied to 322 roles. Most of them were mid to senior level UX/product designer roles, rejected by 183 of them, ghosted by 137 of them. I interviewed with 13 companies, and out of the 13, I made it to the final round 4 times and I got 2 offers. I primarily used LinkedIn to look for opportunities and submit applications, and out of the all 322 submitted applications, I probably had fewer than 10 referrals. In other words, the vast majority was through direct applications. So here are some top things I learned throughout the process. Number 1, domain fit is a top decision-making factor. So what does that mean? Comparing with new grad hiring, mid-level and senior level hiring examine how relevant your past experiences are to what a hiring team wants to achieve. So for example, if you primarily worked in the B2B SaaS space and is applying to a B2B SaaS design role, you have a much higher chance of getting an interview invite. On the flip side, say if you're only ever worked in B2C space but want to transition to B2B, you're gonna have a hard time convincing people to hire you, even though you know the tools and you have the UX knowledge. Because domain expertise takes time to build up and is not transferable. And that's why for the company that interviewed me for, but ultimately rejected me, this is the number 1 reason why. Number 2, what is your personal branding? If you're job hunting for UX roles in 2025, these are the questions that you need to consider and ask yourself at the beginning of your job search. What is your personal branding? What are your value propositions? What makes you stand out from other applicants? Once you know the answers, how do you market yourself? Personal branding or career visibility is more important as you become more senior. Because for new grads, maybe a recruiter looks for what schools you went to, maybe company invests in your potential. But still, new grads and interns tend to have limited experiences, and it's very likely that they're all generalists competing at the same starting position. However, once you have a couple of years of experience under your belt, you should be able to thoughtfully articulate your strengths, your growth opportunities, what you're looking for in the next role, and what type of designer you are. Having clear answers to these questions allows you to be competitive at the right market. This might be a silly example, but basically what I'm trying to say is you're not a Starbucks trying to sell bottled soft drinks. You know what I'm saying? And frankly, these are actually the real questions you might run into. So better be prepared than trying to make something up on the spot. Number 3, the interview process remains similar. As I mentioned before, the last time I applied for a full-time UX/product design role was back in 2021, so it definitely had been a while. So when I started looking for jobs again, I wasn't really sure if the interview process had changed. But guess what? To my surprise, it mostly didn't change at all. I saw there might be some new weird stuff that company now asks applicants to do, but at least based on my personal experiences, I'm confident to say that the interview process in 2025 is almost identical to what it was before. For a standard interview process, after submitting your application, expect an initial phone screen with a recruiter to make sure you check all the basic boxes. And then you'll move on to have a one-on-one chat with the hiring manager, and they will most likely ask you behavior questions to gauge your past experiences and evaluate a first impression. If this one goes well, they might ask you to do a live design challenge to evaluate your ability to problem solve on the spot without prior preparation. And finally, there will be some sort of virtual on-site or final round where you get to meet different potential teammates across different job functions. Most likely, there will be PMs, engineers, sometimes researchers, and content designers. So this is the most standardized process. However, if you're applying for a smaller company or a startup, it's a whole new world. I went through all kinds of atypical asks, ranging from doing a design audit to giving feedback on their products, from live workshop or brainstorming sessions to a visual design challenge. But again, unless you're applying to these small companies or startups, the interview process should be relatively predictable and preparable. So just to quickly recap this 3 key points, domain expertise determine how much of a match you are with the hiring team. And personal branding boosts your professional visibility and tells a consistent story of who you are as a designer. And understanding the interview process will give you better chance and confidence. So that's it for today. If you find the content helpful, please like and subscribe our channel. This is the best ways to help us. And see you in the next one. Bye.